The internet reacts to the first look at Tom Hanks' Mr. Rogers. If the news of the week is any indication, pretty much everything from comics to politics is polarizing, but the one thing that everyone has in common is their admiration for Mr. Rogers. Except for maybe Fox News.
This evil man has now ruined a generation of kids.
Fred Rogers was the host of the PBS Kids show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood from 1968 to 2001, and though he passed away in 2003, a genuinely heartwarming documentary about his life called Won't You Be My Neighbor released this year, as well as the release of a very fun Mr. Rogers Google Doodle last week, has thrust the world's most famous cardigan sweater wearer back into the public consciousness. And with Sony currently in production on a film tentatively called You Are My Friend about Mr. Rogers' real-life friendship with journalist Tom Janode, Sony Pictures decided to release the first official image yesterday of Tom Hanks in full costume as Mr. Rogers, because come on, if you're going to cast somebody to play the nicest television personality that's ever lived, you're gonna cast real-life Hollywood nice guy Tom Hanks. And to be honest, he looks great. When it was announced earlier this year that Tom Hanks was going to be strapping on the cardigan and khakis for the role, the internet referred to the casting back then as perfect, but did they change their minds and tear this photo a new one like they do literally everything else? Honestly, no! In perhaps the first time in history, everyone is pretty unanimously on board for this, proving that Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers is not only the hero we deserve right now, but he's also the hero we need. At Brissa77 tweeted, at Tom Hanks, I couldn't think of a better casting, simply perfect. At Rachel Chardoff tweeted what we've all been thinking, saying, Tom Hanks is playing Mr. Rogers in a movie and it's like looking through a wormhole that goes back to the good world we used to know and love. At Tredegar tweeted the question we've all been wanting to ask, saying, isn't at Tom Hanks playing hashtag Mr. Rogers just a nice guy turducken? We need to send that guy some swag, because that's great. And yes, it is, and we are here for it. At Josh Gad tweeted a very accurate, this picture is literally the only thing preventing multiple nervous breakdowns and strokes across the country right now. And in the divisive times that we are currently living in, it's nice to see that there's at least one thing we can pretty much all agree on, and that's that Bosom Buddies star Tom Hanks makes for a great Mr. Rogers. I myself tweeted out that I thought he was absolutely perfect, and that to go from Bosom Buddies all the way to Mr. Rogers and everything in between, you are literally the epitome of success in Hollywood. That is amazing. But will the movie live up to the hype? We won't know for sure until it hits theaters in October 2019, but if this picture is any indication, it looks pretty dang great. And if you're having a hard time this week, we suggest putting on an old episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood because, hey, we all need a little positivity sometimes.
You've made this day a special day by just your being you.
But what do you folks think? Does this photo make you more excited for the upcoming Mr. Rogers film? What's your favorite episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? And if they brought back Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, who do you think is nice enough to replace Mr. Rogers? Our legit vote is Barack Obama. Let's discuss. Be sure to like, subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a video or go live with the show. Speaking of which, did you catch our latest show, Orbital Redux? It stars the voice of Spider-Man himself, Yuri Lowenthal, in the world's first live interactive sci-fi show. The first episode is free on Nerdist YouTube right now, but if you want to get in on the live action, you need to sign up for Alpha. Get a free 60-day trial to projectalpha.com using the promo code ORBITAL.